Okay, we're live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Committee on Claims, where we have several items before us. We will begin with Corporation Counsel, who will go through the several items and briefly describe each case, and where council members can ask questions regarding those specific cases. If any questions require an executive session, I will have staff record those, and we will go into executive session at the end of the 7 items to clarify any questions that we have that require an executive session. Council President Pridgen.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, you just said it. And I think that in the last couple of meetings, we have gone into executive session for the questions so that if Corporation Counsel can tell us what is the best way to go, but they gave either a summary or of the amounts asked. Then we went into executive session and asked more detailed questions.
Mr. Chair, if I could just do roll call. Councilmember Nowakowski.
Present.
Councilmember Scanlon.
Present.
Councilmember Wyatt. Council President Pridgen.
Here.
Councilmember Bowman.
Here.
Councilmember Golombek.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera. Councilmember Wingo.
Present.
Quorum is present. Do you want me to read the first item?
Yes, from the top, Bethany.
Under personal injury, item number 1, Brooke Thurber.
Items open.
These items are open and Corporation Counsel is here to speak.
Mr. Chair, Corporation Counsel Tim Ball has not connected yet. He is texting me on the side. He's having a difficulty setting up his computer. However, we have been joined by several members of his team.
Okay, if any members of his team feel comfortable beginning the items, they may. Or we can hold the matter into abeyance. Motion to hold the items in abeyance, seconded by Council President Pridgen to wait for Corporation Tim Ball.
Mr. Ball, are you connected with audio? Can you hear us now?
I can hear you, yes, Chief of Staff.
Okay, we will open the first item, seconded by Councilmember Wyatt. This item is now open for Commissioner or for Corporation Ball to speak.
Item number 1 is a claim which derives from the execution of a search warrant on October 31st, 2014 at 10:30 a.m. The plaintiff's K9 was struck by an officer's gunfire because of an alleged threat it posed to the officer. There are factual disputes as to the aggressiveness of the dog and its position at the time of the incident. We used the court's mediation program to negotiate a settlement amount of $9,500 in this matter. That's in line with similar results in like cases throughout the region. So it's our recommendation that this matter be compromised for $9,500.
Now, before you joined Mr. Ball, we did discuss, is there a matter in which, or an order which you prefer? Would you like to give a summary of all 7 items and then go into executive session, or have council members intermittently ask you questions?
I can do all 7, and then we'll go into executive session with the litigators that I have on the phone if there's any particular factual questions with respect to any of the claims.
Okay.
With respect to items number 2 and number 5, both items arise from a car accident that occurred on August 8th, 2016 at the intersection of Jefferson and Dodge. The 2 drivers collided because of a down stop sign that was knocked down and not replaced earlier that day. Both drivers sustained injuries. Ms. Holly's, which is item number 5, were more severe than Ms. Russell's. In light of the injuries of each of these plaintiffs, we recommend settlement of item number 2 and item number 5 in the amounts indicated, which is $17,500 for Ms. Russell and $250,000 for Ms. Hawley. Moving on to items number 3 and number 6, both of those items stem from a 9/11 hang-up call that was received on March 22nd, 2014, when it was believed that an individual was assaulted at a home on Learnington Street. After an arrest was effectuated, the suspected victim of the assault went to the DA's office to report that she was not assaulted. The charges were subsequently dropped as to Mr. Krasminski. We engaged the court's mediation program to negotiate settlement amounts of $20,000 and $5,000 respectively for items number 3 and number 6. Item number 3 was a full custodial arrest that went through until the time that the charges were dismissed, and item number 6 was a detention of Mr. Dermage.
Mr. Chair.
Moving on.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Councilmember Wingo.
Just a point of information for those folks who are doing the transcripts. I would ask that Corporation Counsel please restate the amount for item number 2.
Yes, item number 2 is the claim of Virginia Russell, and the amount is $17,500.
Okay, there's a discrepancy, Mr. Chair, between what is on our screen and what we're sharing and what Corporation Counsel is saying. If we could just clarify.
Yes, there is a discrepancy. So if Corporation Counsel is going on record stating that it really is $17,500, I would ask the council staff to please change that and amend that.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
You're welcome. Mr. Ball.
I have a question.
Council Member Wyatt.
Okay, because we filed never mind. Pass. Never mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wyatt. Corporation Counsel.
On to item number 4, which is the claim of Somali Khan. It stems from a search that was conducted on March 7th, 2014 at 3:30 p.m. The dispute arises over whether or not consent was given in order to search, because there was no warrant in that case. Given the conflicting testimony of the plaintiff and another witness and the police officers, we were once again set through the court's mediation program and negotiated a settlement of $9,000. And I had stated before that the settlement amount for number 5, which was Ms. Hawley, was $250,000. And that takes me down to item number 7. I can restate Mr. Dumage's as well. Number 6 is for $5,000. Item number 7 stems from a trip and fall incident that occurred on April 7th, 2013, when the plaintiff fell on Elmwood Avenue. Prior work had been done at the location by the city. That's an exception of the prior written notice requirement. Given the severity of the injury, we negotiated a settlement of $75,000 from the city and $75,000 from the adjoining property owner. So the total settlement is $150,000, but half of that, $75,000, coming from the city of Buffalo.
Okay, and to give the opportunity to council members to ask questions that do require an executive session, I will make a motion to go into executive session, seconded by Councilmember Bowman.
Chief of
Mr. Chair, if you're trying to get our attention, I think you're on mute. However, just a notification for you, I think we might have lost, no, I got Councilmember Rare. Rare and Scanlon are in. I think we all made it.
Okay, we are back from executive session. Item number 1 is open. If any council member would like to speak. Councilmember Gullumbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to mention on this item, for those of you that were around about 4 or 5 years ago, there were some huge issues with narcotics warrants and searches being conducted throughout the city of Buffalo. And in particular, there was a question about how the Buffalo police were actually doing these searches. And there were numerous dogs that were killed during this time. And for those of you that were around back then, you remember that we were getting, social interest groups, animal rights groups, and others who were very, very upset about this, and the policy that the Buffalo police were doing. I got involved through Sandy in my office, who's our office dog lover, and Peter Reese and some other animal rights activists. And with the permission of Mayor Brown and then Police Commissioner Durenda, I worked with the SWAT team. I remember Brendan Kiefer and Detective Don Lopez, among others, and they put together a new policy where they actually have an officer who goes out. I don't know what the special name is, but there's a pole with like a noose on the end of it. And unfortunately, when they, do these warrants, quite often there's a dog there that comes charging out at you. The job of the detective is to use this pole to catch the dog. And I believe there has not been an animal shooting in about 4 years, roughly. And it really happened around the same time that we started this policy, roughly about 4 years ago. And, but that was one of those things where, it was a cooperative venture with a bunch of different people, the council, myself, the police department, the mayor, and animal rights activists. And, hopefully we'll never get another one of these issues in front of us again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gullumbeck. Is there any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Okay. If there's not, Majority Leader.
Motion to approve items 1 through 7.
There is a motion to approve items 1 through 7, seconded by Councilmember Wingo. Is there a motion to adjourn?
No other items. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.